Alright, lovers of freedom, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're welcome to this YouTube channel. This is the only channel where you get your legit information, raw data regarding what is actually happening in the zoo country called Nigeria and what is actually happening in the Biafra land, and even the case of our leader, our Prime Minister Nnamdi Kanu, our leader Nnamdi Kanu, and our Prime Minister Simon Eba. Now, Nnamdi Kanu have destroyed them. Nnamdi Kanu have destroyed them. They are not running about. Nnamdi Kanu have spoken a lot. He said a lot. He said a lot that is making the zoo Janjaweeds run around. He has spoken fire. And that fire is what is going to destroy the zoo country called Nigeria. And that fire is what is going to totally sink Tinubu's government. Now listen and make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Do well to check back our previous videos. Then you understand what we're talking about. This is the Intel TV news where you get your legit information. Now listen to what our leader Nnamdi Kanu have said. Now the Tinubu government have completely fallen. That is why this Tinubu government don't want to release this man. And that is why these so-called Southeast politicians that have been running around everywhere talking about the release of Nnamdi Kanu, talking about how they are agitating for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, that is how they have failed. They have been totally exposed by this particular man. Now listen as you subscribe.
The director of Nigerian DSS has openly confirmed that the army, the police, and the terrorist DSS have been defeated by the terrorists. Hence, everybody has the right now to arm themselves.
Do you think that Nottingham Forest can qualify for the Champions League?
Yes.
You know, talk with conviction.
100%. Yes. I think so. You know, I think we've talked about this some in passing before, and I said what they need now is just belief. Because they're playing the game, they're playing the football. You understand? They go into every game now thinking that, or with the mindset that we can get a result. And that's the most important. It's a different thing when you're going into a game with survival mentality. Let's just try. But now you're going into a game with that mindset of we can get a result. Yes, they lost 7-0 and all of that. It was one of you know. But then that mindset of going into every game, okay, we're top of the table, we're playing against people that are below us. It gives you a psychological edge. It doesn't matter if the team has old glory. If Nottingham Forest is playing against Manchester United tomorrow in a long-distance relationship, top 4 against second bottom half of the table, you understand? So they go into that confidence that these boys are not reach our side, you know, and they go there and they beat Manchester United. It will work for them. They are the only team that have beaten Liverpool this season. Remember, in the league, the only team that have beaten Liverpool this season. So why not?
Now you continue to Man U, example.
Because two of them bottom half of the table now. Man U is closer to relegation than top 4. So
in order to defend themselves, or they will be wiped out from the surface of the earth. In the past, we have people like T.Y. Danjuma who boldly came out to speak and ask people to defend themselves, and also said that the army that he was the chief, the overall military head during his days, that this same army collude with the terrorists to terrorize the innocent Nigerians. T.Y. Danjuma said it is in the public. But you may say, this is an old man, he's no longer in service. Fine. But we are talking about the DSS boss, the overall head of DSS. This same man has come out to say the same thing that T.Y. Danjuma said. Now, without wasting any time, I will be reading this very news from Sarah Reporters, as you can see, one of the zoo media platforms. And according to their headline, they said, "Don't expect army, police, others to protect all of you. Mobilize to defend yourselves against terrorists," DSS chief tells Nigerians. What does that tell you? Remember, Musa himself, Musa, who usually cry, has acknowledged on several occasions that they do not have what it takes to defend all Nigerians. That he said that they cannot be everywhere. He said it in style. without openly, declare that they have been defeated, like the way this man has openly declared it now. But people who understood very well what Musa was talking about. So this man is telling you that they have been defeated, and what is remaining? The only thing that is remaining right now is for them to surrender to these very Fulani terrorists. And that is going to happen very, very soon. The moment Kashim Shettima takes over power from Tinubu, because I don't see Tinubu completing 8 years. I don't see Tinubu completing 8 years. I am not saying he's going to buy or whatever, but I don't see Tinubu completing 8 years. So the moment Kashim Shettima takes over power in Asorok, it's over. You will see your army, your police, your DSS, Air Force, and the Navy openly surrender to the Fulani terrorists, because that is what is going to happen. Now, how did Nnamdi Kanu and the Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa come in picture?
So this is around 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. A lot of people have gone to work. You can see every other person out there has gone to work. But I came to see my own helper, right? Because a few years ago, this man introduced me to something that changed my life. His name is Mr. Michael Olatunji, by the way, right? You've probably heard about him. He's the biggest CPA marketer out of Africa. And he introduced me to this very unpopular business model called CPA marketing, where all we simply need to do is work for foreign companies, and we do simple tasks for them, and they pay us in dollars for it. In fact, when he introduced me to this business back then, it didn't make sense. I was like, why would anyone pay you dollars for doing this? But after he introduced me to it, I was able to raise over $33,000 to fund my schooling in Canada in 2022 doing this business. And also I've been able to travel to over 20 countries. As a matter of fact, like I told you guys, everyone has gone to work, but you can see just the two of us out here having a good time, right? That's what can happen when you get into a business that gives you the flexibility of time, and you can do what you want to do whenever you want to do it. So I've not seen Mr. Michael in a long time, and I've finally gotten a hold of him, and he has decided to hold a free training just like the one he had in 2020 that changed my life. He has decided to hold the same training for you, where he's going to be breaking down how you can also get into this business. Now, this does not mean you do this business or you succeed with it. It's just going to introduce you to it, and if you think you can do it, you proceed from there, right? So Mr. Michael, do you want to tell them something about this business and how it has changed lives?
Okay, this personal business can give you generational wealth. That is, it has done that for many, many people that have trained in the past. And that can also be you. All you just need to do is to attend the training. When you attend, then you get to know about this business. I'll see you in the training.
So click on the link below and we'll see you on the training. Bye.
We are going to analyze it, but before then, let us read this very news in details. In reference past incidents in Bauchi State, where local communities successfully fought off Boko Haram insurgents without waiting for security forces. Okay. The Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Mr. Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi, has stated that Nigerians must take responsibility for their own security, as the military, police, and intelligence agencies do not have the capacity to protect every community from terrorist attacks nationwide. So what else are you doing? Let's continue anyway. Ajayi made the remarks during a public engagement which Symphony broadcasted. So you see, it's making sense now. It's now making sense. They said that they do not have the capacity. Look at it. I love that word. He made it very, very clear. He said, as the military, police, and intelligence agencies do not have capacity to protect every community from terrorist attacks nationwide. So what else are you doing? The primary responsibility of every government is the security of lives and properties of the citizens. That is the primary, I said primary responsibility. the number one thing of every government is to protect lives and properties of its citizens. Any government that failed to protect its citizens has failed completely, and that very nation has collapsed. I am telling you, that means the zoo has collapsed, and the only alternative is for all nations inside the zoo to go their separate ways. That is the only alternative. If you are waiting for any magic in the nearest future, I am telling you, you will all be unalived by these very terrorists that is about to take over power in Abuja. They continued. He referenced past incidents in Bauchi State where local communities successfully fought off Boko Haram insurgents without waiting for security forces. Speaking seriously about the practical approach to mobilizing against insecurity, I will share my experience when I was a state director in Bauchi. Ajayi said, "Now, do you know why it was possible for them to do it in Bauchi? Because this same man, this Ajayi, a Yoruba man, was the director in Bauchi, and probably he is not among the terrorist military chiefs like Musa and other ones. Because he was the director general in Bauchi, he was the head in Bauchi. He wasn't other, Fulani head of, DSS or military. He's a Yoruba man. So that's why it is possible for the local communities, successfully defeated the terrorists in Bauchi. If not, other places like here in the east, in Biafra land, these terrorists in uniform will never allow the communities to arm themselves in order to defeat the ordinary herdsmen terrorists. It is not possible.
Okay, so let me bust a bubble. With the Kodisi said, I think in the MPFL, in the Nigerian league entirely, Kodisi plays the best football.
Right
let me bust a bubble. These are first season in the league, and they've scored more goals than any other
team in the league.
Wow.
I don't know about their away games, but watch them.
Even away games.
Very entertaining. You get this guy when I say get killing.
Shola Adelani.
See, come and watch the City.
And he scored over the weekend.
Once they hear that you have an even ordinary knife, you are in trouble. Here in the east, you can't walk anywhere in the east with ordinary knife. But in the north, you can walk with anything. You can walk with anything and nobody will disturb you. That is the difficulties we are passing through here. Remember, the title says, Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa vindicated. So we are going to connect the dots and know why they are in the picture here. Now they continued. Most of you will remember an incident in Azare. A group of Boko Haram terrorists invaded Azare, shooting in an attempt to kidnap people. But the community fought back. They unalived some members of the community, but in the end, the people unalived all of them. Since that day, there has not been a single terrorist attack in Azare. Ajayi went further to cite former dictator General Ibrahim Babangida retired as endorsing the idea of community-led resistance. As a matter of fact, the former head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida, said, and I quote, "If we want to stop or curb terrorism, we should emulate the Azare example." According to Ajayi, Tafawa Balewa local government in Bauchi State also serves as a case study of community defense. Remember, the community defense we are talking about is not something that you defend with ordinary knife or stick. Are you paying attention? These terrorists are coming with assorted rifles, AK-47, AK-49, name them, RPG. They are fully armed to the teeth. So for any community to resist them, you must match them with the same kind of ammunition that they are coming with. That is the reason why Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB created Eastern Security Network. And Mazi Simon Ekpa came on board and reformed it, and it became Biafra Defense Forces. Biafra Resistance Fighters, and Biafra Liberation Army, in defense of our land against all kinds of terrorism coming from the northern part of the Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom, Nigeria. So have you now seen how they have been vindicated against anybody talking ill against two great men? I want you to go and rethink. Check your brain if you are truly okay. Now, he said, the people there rose up on one occasion. They knew their terrain better, climbed up the trees and mountains, and when the invaders came, they not only stopped them, but also seized their weapons. Since then, you hardly hear about attacks in Tafawa Balewa. What I am trying to say is that the practical approach to mobilizing people is that you have to get everyone involved. You cannot expect the Nigerian army, police, or DSS to protect every Nigerian in every community. So they are incapacitated. They are not capable enough to defend the so-called territorial integrity of the damnable Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom, Nigeria. It is very simple. Everybody can feel it.
Skip the hassle of paperwork and collaterals with Fair Money Microfinance Bank. Just download the Fair Money app, tap Get a Loan, fill in your details, and watch your loan hit your account in minutes. Quick, easy, no stress. Fair Money Microfinance Bank. Instant loans in 5 minutes.
Sir, இப்பதான் உங்க வரலாறு எடுத்து பார்த்தேன். நீ பெரிய வில்லன்னு கேள்விப்பட்ட?
It's very only this very news that I'm giving you today, boldly said by Mr. Ajayi, the head of DSS, Department of State Services, DSS, is enough for Nnamdi Kanu to defeat the zoo in their own court, even though he has been defeating them since they, criminally renditioned him to the zoo. This one alone is enough. You don't need further. Because your security chief has told everybody, every citizen, and every community to defend themselves. Because they are not capable of defending the entire country, which means the country has collapsed. What else do you need? That is the reason why we do what we do. We don't just want to defend ourselves, but we also want to, disappear. We want to run away from this evil entity that has taken lives and properties of its citizens. Biafran people say enough is enough. We don't want to continue. We don't want to continue with this evil entity. And he said, it is impossible to deploy security forces everywhere. No security agency has the resources to do that. No security agencies in the zoo has the resources to do that. The military has no resources to do that. The police has no resources to do that. The DSS, the Air Force, the Navy, they do not have the resources to do that. So why are you stopping the people who try to do that, who try to defend themselves, who even try to, let me use that word, let me borrow his so-called secede. Why are you stopping the people who try to, secede from the evil entity that is incapable to defend its citizen and its so-called territorial integrity? Why are you stopping them? Because they are Biafrans? Because they are Igbos? Isn't it? Is that not the truth? Is that not the reason? Now let's continue. Ajayi urged Nigerians to rethink their approach to self-defense, emphasizing that communities must serve as the first line of defense against terrorism and other criminals. The military, police, and other security agencies are there to handle the bigger threats. But communities must take responsibility for defending themselves at the local level. You see, which local level are you talking about? The Fulani herdsmen come here and massacre people, innocent people in their homes. If you try to defend it because you say now local levels, if you try to defend yourself, the army will come and disarm you and allow the Fulani to carry out their job. In the daytime, they are army. They wear uniform military uniform and police uniform.